There were women so beautiful the world believed they were born to shine. But behind the powder and the lights were rituals that made beauty frightening: hair bleached with gasoline, skin shaved with razors, nights thick with perfume and melting ice. Every evening, they didn't rest. They prepared to remain perfect when the sun rose again. Hollywood called it glamour. Yet among the scents of acid, oil, and fading powder, beauty became a ceremony. The stars we admired weren't just making up for a role, they were masking their own existence. And the final name on this list will make you see beauty in a way you never have before. Chapter 1. Marilyn Monroe, the woman who slept in her own glow. She was the ultimate dream-soft voice, golden light, a face the world wanted to believe in. Yet the glow that made her immortal was not only talent or charm, but layers of oil and foundation that never left her skin. Marilyn Monroe rarely washed her face. Each night, she went to bed fully made up, her cheeks still glistening with a mix of powder, petroleum jelly, and the heavy sweetness of Chanel No. 5. Her makeup artist, Alan Whitey Snyder, said he had to scrape away yesterday's mask before painting a new one each morning. The sheets in her Brentwood bedroom absorbed the scent powder, sweat, perfume, until the silk turned faintly yellow. The air in her room was thick and sweet, like an aging dressing room that never aired out. When she moved, a faint shimmer followed, part dust, part memory. To those who were close, the perfection was suffocating. One assistant recalled needing to open windows before entering, afraid of fainting from the perfume that clung to everything: clothes, pillows, even the air itself. She believed it was the secret to her allure, that men fell in love with her scent before her words. But over time, the same ritual that made her luminous dulled her skin, sealing it beneath layers of grease and powder. Monroe didn't age on screen, she simply melted into her own reflection. The woman the world saw glowing under the lights was, in truth, breathing through a mask. And if Marilyn slept inside her perfume, the next star bathed her whole world in it: every wall, every curtain, every breath. Chapter 2. Joan Crawford, the Empress of Alcohol and Absolute Cleanliness. Joan Crawford believed that cleanliness was the weapon of power. On screen, she was the symbol of control and elegance. Off screen, everything around her was scrubbed, washed, and disinfected until no trace of humanity remained. She wiped doorknobs with alcohol every 2 hours. Sinks, mirrors, vanities had to shine like surgical steel. House staff said her cleaning schedule was taped across the walls, room by room, hour by hour, bottle by bottle. Joan washed her face more than 20 times a day, alternating ice, water, and alcohol, convinced that bacteria were the enemy of beauty. Her Brentwood home was always gleaming and cold. The air was dense with alcohol and perfume, reflecting light like a glassy glaze. Guests removed their shoes at the door. Even pets were wiped with disinfectant cloths. If she found a single speck of dust, the staff had to start over. Behind that shine were raw, chapped skin and lips cracked by alcohol. She still smiled, still wore deep red lipstick, as if the color could hide the tiny burns along her mouth. No one dared say it, but everyone knew Joan Crawford no longer smelled human skin, only the scent of fear. Alcohol was her armor, and the fragrance of her solitude. If Joan lived in sterilized chill, the next woman chose the opposite path, avoiding water entirely, convinced that bathing would wash away the sacred within her. Chapter 3. Greta Garbo, the woman who feared water. In a world where every light demanded perfection, Greta Garbo chose shadow and the scent of old powder. She believed water could rinse away her goddess energy, the thing that made audiences believe in her otherworldly beauty. So she almost never bathed. Garbo lived quietly in a luxurious suite at the Beverly Wilshire. Curtains always drawn. The air thick with mineral oil. Instead of bathing, she wiped herself with oil-soaked cloths, then dusted her skin with fine rice powder. Her body was always veiled in a pale, matte frost, as if she were forever starring in a black and white dream. Housekeepers said her linens were always damp and tacky. The smell of old powder sunk so deep it wouldn't wash out. Jars of oil and open tins of powder sat about, coated in a white film. The air felt heavy, light slanted through it like mist powder, sweat, and human warmth mingling. Garbo called it purity. She wouldn't let anyone touch her or open a window. Fearful light and air would disperse the aura she had created. With time, the powder became a mask. Behind the Scandinavian goddess was a woman imprisoned by her own musty scent. Hollywood called her a mystery. In truth, the mystery was a sealed room where powder and oil replaced water, and silence became the last skin she dared to wear. If Garbo feared water, the next star chose the blade cold, precise, and shining like a mirror. Chapter 4. Elizabeth Taylor, the Razor of Perfection. For Elizabeth Taylor, beauty was never an accident, it was carved, millimeter by millimeter, with a gleaming blade. Each morning, in a room steeped in perfume and creams, she leaned close to the mirror and gently shaved the fine fuzz from her face, convinced it made her skin reflect the lights like crystal. Taylor didn't call it shaving, she called it renewing the surface of light. On the vanity, razors lay beside bottles of Chanel and La Mer and folded white silk cloths. Each pass made a small, cool sound, steady as breath. Staff said she never skipped sick or tired. The ritual went on. During Cleopatra in 1963, her room reeked of creams, powder, and shaving wax. Under the set lights, her skin gleamed, reflecting every ray like metal, but it flushed and stung. So assistants had to dab soothing ointments between takes. Perfection, oddly enough, came from small cuts hidden beneath luminous powder. Taylor said the blade made her feel real. But reality was fragile. The closer the mirror, the more there was to shave away. The brighter the skin, the sadder the eyes. Beauty ceased to be a gift. It became discipline. The fear of the light going out. If Elizabeth chose the blade to hold the light, the next woman sought sleep and turned perfume into her final breath before night. Chapter 5. Vivian Leigh, Perfume and Sleepless Nights. Vivian Leigh never slept in silence. Her nights were a fragrant ritual, a blend of perfume, sleeping pills, and dreams dissolving under a faint trace of alcohol. Scent wasn't an accessory, it was the blanket she wrapped around herself to feel loved. Before bed, she sprayed perfume over her body, on her neck and shoulders, across pillows and curtains. Her London room brimmed with fragrance so dense, the staff said opening the door loosed a fog of Chanel and Guerlain. The perfume soaked the fabrics, lamplight gleamed on leftover powder, making her face look like a wax figure mid-dream. After a streetcar named Desire, insomnia and panic followed her. Pills became part of the night ritual, each tablet a promise of brief, quiet. When the drug faded, the scent remained, heavier, more oppressive, as if the room itself were dreaming with her. Colleagues recalled mornings when she arrived on set with distant eyes, fragile skin, and perfume still clinging to her collar. No one asked, but everyone knew she was trying to hold on to something that had dissolved in sleep. Behind the stage lights was a woman who believed fragrance could tether the soul. And while Vivian slept in scent, Marlene Dietrich woke to the cold ring of steel, ready to pay a real price for a timeless face. Chapter 6. Marlene Dietrich, The Price of Hollowed Cheeks. Marlene Dietrich believed a perfect face was built from discipline and pain. She wasn't born with those famous hollow cheeks. She made them by removing 2 molars to sharpen her features on camera. A choice as cool, exact, and calculating as her gaze. Her dressing room smelled of powder, sweat, and iron. Beside expensive perfumes lay small dental tools and steel corsets. She cinched her waist so tightly her skin bruised and her throat tightened, and still she smiled. Faintly, into the mirror. Assistant said each time she dressed. She asked for another notch on the corset, to feel in control. On the Blue Angel and Destry rides again. The lights hit her face like a scalpel-cut statue, cheeks scooped, neck elongated, eyes glacial. Every detail so perfect no one dared touch her. But beneath the powder, gums ached and breath held a metallic tang. Beauty isn't a gift, she once said. It's an obligation. She paid it with tiny, hidden wounds behind the smile. People worshipped her chill, never knowing it cost her fresh pain every morning. If Dietrich chose pain to keep her edge, the next Grace Kelly chose the opposite, dissolving herself in perfume until the very air became a second skin. Chapter 7. Grace Kelly, the Princess of Chanel. No, Mrs. T. 5. Grace Kelly seemed born to embody purity. On screen, she was flawless, gentle, immaculate, untouched by sweat or dust. But to those who stepped into her dressing room, that image was an illusion. The air around Grace was saturated with perfume. In the 1,950 seconds, while filming To Catch a Thief on the Riviera, she made Chanel know 5 part of her body. Not just wrists and collarbones, curtains, sheets, even napkins and evening gowns. A Carlton Hotel staffer said opening her door released a sweet, dizzying wave of Chanel. Washing the drapes thrice couldn't lift the scent. For Kelly, perfume wasn't fragrance, it was space, a veil between her and the world. Each morning she wiped down with alcohol instead of bathing, then misted a fresh cloud of Chanel. Water, she believed, rinsed away femininity, scent preserved it. Even as Princess of Monaco, the ritual held. An entire wing stored perfumes and disposable linens. Staff had to throw open the windows each morning to steam out the room because the scent pooled so heavily. Under the lights, she remained perfection, luminous skin. Still smile. Up close, she was a sweet storm. Beautiful enough to take your breath away. If Grace dissolved in perfume, Jean Harlow dissolved in actual chemicals. Chapter 8. Jean Harlow, Platinum in Gasoline and Bleach. Jean Harlow was the platinum blonde, hair bright as a key light. To keep that shine, she paid with a burning scalp, acrid breath, and nights steeped in gasoline fumes. In the 1,930 seconds, there was no safe platinum dye. Harlow used peroxide, ammonia, and a little white gasoline to reach absolute brightness. Weekly, she sat for hours in a sealed room as chemicals soaked her hair. The vapor so strong staff flung windows open. When she walked out, one stylist said, the room looked like it was smoking. Her scalp blistered, but she refused to change the formula. That hair defined her. People said they could sense her nearby by smell alone: gasoline, bleach, and warm foundation under the lights. While shooting dinner at 1,933, Fans had to be adjusted because the fumes from her hair were overpowering. Colleagues joked, "Jean doesn't just light the screen, she could light the room." Behind the gleam were raw skin and acid-laced air. Jean Harlow died at 26. The papers said kidney failure. Those who knew her believed years of chemicals had seeped too deep. If Harlow shone by bleach, Rita Hayworth chose another ritual gentler. Perhaps, but no less haunting. Chapter 9. Rita Hayworth, skin stripped with ammonia. Rita Hayworth. The 1,942nd siren, tawny skin, red hair. Fire-bright lips turned her dressing room into a lab. Alongside powders and combs sat a bottle of diluted ammonia. It was a secret she never publicly shared. Before filming, she depilated her arms and legs with the solution, certain it made her skin smoother and brighter under the lights. The fumes were so strong the lighting crew waited outside, unable to bear the mix of sharp chemical, powder, and sweat. A makeup artist recalled she endured it like stone. Not a sound, just blinking when it touched the skin. On Gilda 1946. The ammonia hung in the hot air under carbon arcs. A thin mist you could taste. Her skin flushed, then blanched, gleaming like pearl, stinging like a mild burn. Those who touched her said it felt artificial, taut, slick, not quite real. After takes, she slathered heavy creams to hide dark patches, then smiled for the camera as if pain never existed. Hayworth's beauty was not natural light, it was purchased with chemicals and numb skin. If Rita chose chemicals to rebirth her glow, Carole Lombard chose cold, as if beauty could be frozen in place forever. Chapter 10. Carole Lombard, sleeping on ice. Carole Lombard, queen of screwball sparkle, lived offset in a different world, quiet, numb, cold enough to turn breath to frost. Beauty, to her, was preservation, a statue that must not change. She slept on ice. Before bed, she packed large ice bags into the sheets, laying them across face and neck, trusting the cold to tighten skin, erase lines, and keep blood sharp. The room was dark, curtains closed, with only the soft crackle of melting ice and the cool scent of creams. Each morning, staff opened the door to a freezer's breath and damp linens. Through the 1,930 seconds, she kept the ritual like a religion. In summer, the aircon at its lowest and cold cloths wrapped at the wrists. In winter, bed-sheeted blocks of ice. Her body often went bluish, lips chapped. But she said, "Beauty does not come from comfort." A colleague said, "She always looked alert, fresh, but her handshake was ice." In the wings, they called her the Ice Queen, awed and a little afraid. Her beauty felt less alive than preserved. If Lombard slept in ice to fight time, the next sought radiance in oil dark, metallic, never meant for human skin. Chapter 11. Clara Bow, oiled skin of the silent era. Before Marilyn, there was Clara Bow, the first It Girl, a beacon of hunger and freedom. Behind that reckless smile hid a ritual so odd, makeup artists kept their distance. She rubbed automotive oil into her skin to shine like silver screen. Clara didn't believe in creams. Human skin, she said, only lives with something stronger. In her Paramount dressing room, a tin of thick, inky motor oil sat beside lipstick and wipes. She mixed it with petroleum jelly and spread it over hands, neck, even legs. Under lights, her skin reflected so much the camera aperture had to be stopped down. House staff said the smell got everywhere, chairs, dresses, even doorknobs. Floors stayed tacky, walls bore sooty flecks. When she entered, the air filled with hot metal and burned plastic, braided with stage powder. She liked it. It made her feel powerful, not one of the soft stars. But chemicals ignore freedom. Her skin erupted. Hands peeled, and costumers wore gloves to touch her gowns. On screen, she was fire. Off screen, she smelled of machinery. When talkies came and lighting changed, Clara Bow vanished like old oil smoking off under new heat. If Clara found beauty in engine oil, Bette Davis found it in something cruder, raw, cold meat. Chapter 12, Bette Davis, Eyes Behind Raw Meat. Bette Davis had Hollywood's most famous eyes, deep, bright, always aflame. Few knew she kept them that way with a ritual that made others recoil, raw meat laid over her eyelids. On All About Eve in 1950, while others adjusted gowns and cues, Betty sat still with 2 thin slices of fresh beef resting on her eyes. She believed the cold blood constricted vessels, brightened whites, erased shadows. A trick learned from 1,922nd stage girls and never abandoned. Around her hung iron, tobacco, and whiskey. The meat's chill and cigarette haze formed a thin dew on her skin, giving her face a waxy sheen. Makeup artists replaced the slices daily and wiped down with alcohol. The smell clung to furniture. She didn't mind. If you want the devil's gaze, she said, you touch what others fear. It became her credo and her truth. Betty's eyes weren't just lit by lamps. They carried real cold and real pain. Even in age, she kept the habit asking for the meat before shoots, sitting silent as if revisiting her own past. If Betty chose raw flesh to keep the gaze, Sophia Loren chose olive oil, soft, warm, and sun-bright. Chapter 13, Sophia Loren, the woman who bathed in olive oil. Sophia Loren needed no lab or razor. She had a ritual, simple and strange, bathing in real olive oil. In a world of chemicals and white powder, she believed perfect skin lived in the warm scent of the Mediterranean that raised her in Naples. Each evening, she filled the tub, then poured in liters of extra virgin olive oil. The warmth spread and clung, leaving a waxy sheen. Staff said her bathroom was always slick, floors gleaming, the air heavy with a buttery smell. It mingled with perfume, creams, and steam into a sweet, stifling haze. After soaking, Loren didn't towel off. She let the oil sink in, then wrapped herself in silk. Her skin stayed supple and bright, as if reflecting sunlight. But clothes, sheets, and curtains absorbed the scent. Her Rome apartment always held an oily trace, half damp, half sunny, woven into every fiber. Olive oil is nature's miracle, she said, perhaps, for visitors. The miracle was a smell thick, warm, persistent. People joked you could tell she was home from the hallway. If Loren steeped herself in oil, the next Audrey Hepburn took a different path, drinking it, eating it, letting beauty glow from within. Chapter 14, Audrey Hepburn, Light from Within. Audrey Hepburn defined purity. Every gesture, smile, and tilt of the head made people believe in perfect natural grace. Few knew that her natural glow was fed by a silent ritual, a daily dose of castor oil to make her skin shine from the inside out. In a small Rome kitchen, she began mornings with pasta tossed in spoonfuls of castor oil, heavy, viscous, more apothecary than pantry. She told her chef, "It makes me feel clean, as if light is passing through me." The smell filled the flat fatty, sharp, clinging to napkins, breath, even the teacup nearby. Audrey disliked heavy makeup. Every layer felt false. Instead, she kept to small rituals, cold water, fruit, and that spoon of castor oil. Family said she sometimes squeezed her eyes shut to swallow tears from the bitterness, but she persisted, as if discomfort proved her purity. On breakfast at Tiffany's, the lights found her face without help, a hint of sweat, a natural sheen. Cameramen said, "She doesn't act, she radiates." The radiance wasn't magic. It was the refined austerity of someone who believed beauty begins with quiet suffering, while others covered themselves in glamour. Audrey absorbed it. And with that, the catalog of perfections, rituals, closes 14 women, 14 bargains, one lingering scent of fear. If any of this stunned you, tell me, which one surprised you most? Like, subscribe, and ring the bell and, well, peel back more layers of light, where beauty isn't just dazzling, but so honest it's frightening.